It's time for the Hockey Minute, your source for all of today's hockey news with some opinion. Strap in for the fastest news in the NHL. This episode is proudly brought to you by fucking nobody. We don't have any sponsors. Now, here's your hosts, Brandon and Ryan.
And here we are. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Minute. I am your host, Brandon. With me, as always, my co-host, Ryan. And today we have a very special episode for you guys. We have Zach Allard from the band Discrepancies. They're a local St. Louis band. Zach is a huge St. Louis Blues fan, and we're happy to have him. Zach, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, hey, listen, I wanted to start real quick with, I heard that you may have had some of your music played at the Blues games or even featured on their social media. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, a friend of ours, his name's Tony Patrico. He's a radio DJ for a big rock station here in St. Louis, and he actually was also the DJ for the games. So he's a really big fan of the band, so he definitely played a song or two. During the playoffs last year especially was his main time playing them. We actually, there was a big, tense game one time. It was tied in overtime, and he played our song right before the last face-off, and seconds after the last face-off, the Blues won to clinch one of the series. So that was cool.
That's got to get you fired up.
Was that against Dallas?
I believe so. It was either the first or second round, one of those.
Yeah, I think that was the round 2 against Dallas. I think I saw on your Instagram page, and
yeah.
I mean, what's that feeling like when you guys?
Yeah.
Were you at the game, or did someone just send you that video?
I went to multiple games throughout the playoffs, but the videos we had and the times that we've heard it were from people sending it to us, or there's twice actually when I was watching at home and I heard it on the TV. So that was really cool. It's kind of like an indescribable feeling kind of thing, just like a big team like that is playing your music in front of 20,000 people, plus whoever's watching on TV. So that's pretty cool, yeah.
That's unreal. Did you guys notice any uptick in kind of listenership when you see those kind of moments of exposure?
To be honest, I didn't look into it. I'm sure we probably had a little bit, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure, because I think most people that are there know who we are, just as a local band, But surely I would think that some people would dig it and go home and check it out. At least I would hope.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how did you actually start following the Blues and hockey in general?
It was kind of random. Here at the Midwest, we have a gas station called Casey's, and I started working there shortly before I joined Discrepancies, and my boss was a die-hard fan, and he was telling me about how he goes to all these games. And I was like, oh yeah, sounds cool. I'm really into sports, but I haven't got to check out hockey yet. And he was just harping on me every day until I bought tickets that I needed to go. And I ended up getting tickets for Christmas. And I took my girlfriend, and we both went. And from there on, I started watching on TV all the time and wanted to go to, all the games I could. So that was pretty much the start of it.
Well, Zach, we'll talk about music as well in a second here, but just sticking with hockey. So just so you're aware, we've got a writer in Montreal. We've got a producer and a writer both in New York. Brandon and I are in Vancouver. None of us have been in a city that's won a title this millennium. Ugh. So I'm actually really curious, what's it like in St. Louis when you guys won that cup? I mean, I imagine everyone's just happy, unlike the cities we live in, where it's just failure after failure. So, I mean, just share, what was that run like for the city?
Well, I mean, the Blues were failure after failure for years and years to come. It was kind of like that team that we knew were going to either get to the end of the season and start choking, or get to the playoffs and start choking. And so we all were kind of oh, they're in the playoffs, okay, that's cool. And actually, I think things kind of changed where we got Jordan Binnington halfway through the season there, and he's a rookie that's pretty much carrying this team now. So of course that gets people hyped up. And but then as far as whenever we won, I'm 50-50. I wish I was there, and I wish I wasn't, because I don't actually live in the city. But I'm 50-50 on that, because I have friends that were there, and they say that it was just absolute chaos, and people jumping on top of cars and tipping stuff over. Nothing like setting stuff on fire or anything, but it was definitely a little intense.
I was gonna say that sounds like when we lose the flipping cars and stuff, but that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Vancouver, we just set stuff on fire, win or lose. But
Exactly.
I wanted to do you? So this is kind of, I mean, hockey's obviously on pause right now. Is there any talk in the city? I'm curious about, you guys technically being the defending Cup champs. Do you consider this a second year in a row? Like you're just hanging on to it.
Yeah, that's been talked about, I know for sure, and people are like kind of like already like making memes and different pictures, like, oh well, 2 years in a row, that's like breaking history, but like, I don't really know if that's how I would brag about it,
Yeah.
like, like the season got canceled, so we won a second time. I don't think I'd be satisfied with saying that for sure.
Yeah, I don't think they're sending out rings for this year if that's the case.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So when you're looking forward for the Blues next year, what do you think's going to happen with Pietrangelo? Do you think he's gone?
I'm not entirely sure, man. I kind of hope that they can stick to what's going on right now because they have something really good going. And yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of person that's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's like,
Right.
they have a good thing going right now with all their teams. So why change anything? But if they have to, they have to.
Right. Have you had a chance to interact with any of the players at all?
I unfortunately have not. They like right after they won, they did a lot of like different like public appearances and signings and whatever. But unfortunately, I was working a full-time job at the time, and I was kind of stuck doing that every day that they had something cool going on. So
Right.
With the city, the one thing that I noticed, and just how the Blues they really tapped into the community, and there was the story of Layla, the young fan, and that was an international story. But even the Cup parade, though, it seemed so different because guys were jumping out of their vehicles, they were jumping off the floats, getting up to the guardrail, chugging beers with the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, is the Blues, are they? I mean, do you guys just feel like you're genuinely a part of the team now?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I know that even before they won the Cup, they've always been a very, like, personal, almost like a family kind of team with their fans, which is something I've loved about them since I got into them. They've always, they're always out meeting people. If you see them out in public somewhere, I've heard that they'll be the first person to ask if you want a picture, or, there's all really friendly guys. And so, of course, whenever you combine that with winning a title, of course, they're going to, freak out and just be even more excited to spend that time with their fans for sure.
Yeah, you can even see that with the way that it seems that they treat their alumni in St. Louis, right? I mean, you look at all the guys that have kind of made that their home or almost their permanent home, and Brett Hull or Gretzky, those kinds of guys. They must be doing something right.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just sure you've seen the memes of Brett Hull getting absolutely obliterated drunk at all the festivities.
So good. Yeah.
And singing Gloria and whatever.
I've heard that clip of him singing Gloria a million times, and I can hear it a million more. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. That, and then there's a picture of him. It's at like 2 a.m. He's walking down the empty highway in St. Louis carrying the cup going to a bar. Yeah, it's just...
It was almost like he won the Cup. Like he was just everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, he definitely, like, that's his. I think he thinks, like he was pretty stoked on that. So
he probably got a day with it, so he's probably half right.
Oh, it's got nowhere to be in June, so it'll be at Brett's house, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Ryan, did you have any more hockey questions, or can we ask Zach some music stuff here?
Yeah, I wanted to get into the music side, obviously, and first of all, I listened to your stuff actually by chance. Thankfully, Spotify recommended the single Undertow, and it caught my eye because the artwork for it was an ice rink or a hockey rink. So, I mean, just talk about the band a little bit. What have you guys got going on right now? Is there anything in the works? Because you've got a couple new singles out, and I imagine right now it's probably tough to get together in the current climate, but are you guys working on anything right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're definitely in like I don't know what you would explain, like a tough spot, I guess, because of all this stuff going on. We were supposed to have a lot of shows going on right now. We had festivals lined up. We were supposed to be playing with some of our favorite bands, and of course all of that's getting scrapped right now. And So we're pretty bummed about that. But on the plus side, last year or 2 years ago when I joined the band, we started recording our next album, and our single that you talked about and then Control also are both off that album, which is hopefully, with all this stuff going on, hopefully coming out this fall. Not entirely sure on that yet, but it's kind of just up in the air. It was supposed to be out a long time ago, but unfortunately, I'll try not to bring you down too much, but our producer that we had at the time had got diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer and ended up passing away halfway through the production of the album. So we got kind of stuck and had to end up recording things with people out of state, and just to schedule all that and get it all together was a hassle. So we've definitely been sitting on this forever, and we're ready to get it out, but hopefully this fall will be the time. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, man. That song Control that you mentioned too, that's been on my workout playlist for, pretty much since I discovered it. It's pretty obvious the reference, or the musical influences, I should say. I grew up on, Linkin Park and Deftones and Limp Bizkit. Is that similar to you guys, or was there any other influences that you had coming up?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're huge Linkin Park fans. Even like a POD, if you're familiar with POD, we're really into them as well.
For sure.
Trying to think of any more, but like those are definitely the main two. We're definitely into Limp Bizkit on a musical side as well. Our rapper isn't too fond on the vocals, I guess, but we love the music, and you can kind of hear that musical influence for sure. So.
Yeah, I was actually getting some Coheed and Cambria vibes as far as the music goes when I was listening to your stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was really digging it. So when you're making your music, do you, like, when you're coming up with your tone and your sound, how much do your influences play a factor in that? Is that a conscious decision, or is that just kind of everything that you guys like comes out together that way?
And I think that, since we just know what we're going for, that some in our brains just channels that side of our musical taste, because we all listen to everything. So it's not right. We're just a Linkin Park listening kind of band. I'm a Slipknot fanboy, but I also just met Backstreet Boys last year and I almost cried. So I'm totally across the spectrum as far as music goes, and so I think just whenever you're in that kind of a mindset to write for a Discrepancies song, you just start to take that, the influence of POD and Linkin Park and kind of put it into that, because I also play in a metal band, and when I'm writing for that, I take my influences from Slipknot and other bands like that for that. So
it's so funny that you say that about the Backstreet Boys, because I find a lot of artists that I listen to, every interview, it's it'll be a metal band or a hard rock band, and they're like, yeah, but I grew up on country music.
Right.
Was that always the goal for you, though, is just to be in a band that sound like this, or did you ever picture yourself playing drums in any other style?
I'm not going to lie, I never had thought that I would be in a rap rock band at all, to be honest. I started off actually, when I was growing up listening to music, I hated metal and rock, could not stand it. And I was super into pop and Backstreet Boys, and my dad would blare Slipknot in the truck, and I would just be absolutely miserable. And so I guess it just grew on me eventually, and then I ended up starting my own band when I was 13 or 14 that had eventually evolving into my first band, which was a metalcore band, similar to if you know Asking Alexandria, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I went from that, and then I ended up joining the band that I play with now, called Broken Youth. They're a metal band. They're still together. We still play shows. And then I guess just from playing between those two bands, Garrett from Discrepancies had heard of me, and they needed help with a couple shows that their drummer couldn't do at the time. And I was all about it, and I came out and played with them and had a lot of fun. And as things went on, Steve, their old drummer, just couldn't keep up with the shows with work and stuff, and they asked me to join, and here we are.
Yeah, it's incredible. The timing of it too, just it's so funny how that all works out. And
yeah, man, it's all random for sure.
Yeah. I grew up with two older sisters, and I grew up on the boy bands, and then Hybrid Theory came out in 2000, and I was like, Justin Timberlake, who?
Oh yeah.
Where can we hear more from you guys? I mean, I found you on Spotify. Are you guys elsewhere?
Yeah, we're on everything. We're on YouTube. We have a website as well. We're on Apple Music. It's literally on probably every streaming platform you can think of.
Awesome.
All right. Well, how about we take a listen? This is the new single Undertow by Discrepancies. Awesome, Zach. That was so awesome, man.
If you like the new stuff, I think you'd really like that last album for sure.
Well, hey, Ryan, do you have anything else for Zach, or are we going to wrap her up here?
I think we've covered off a lot, man. Zach, I wanted to say just thank you for doing this and just being accessible. And, man, looking forward to when life gets back to normal. If you guys come up to Vancouver, I definitely plan on being there, man. So best of luck in the future, and hopefully you, your family, your band, and their families as well are all staying healthy. And again, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, dear. I really appreciate that. Hope you guys are all staying healthy too, and keep on doing your thing, because yes, I'm going here. So thanks for having me on. I'd love to be back on. If you ever need me again, just hit us up, and I'd love to come back on for sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Well, thanks again to Zach from Ryan and Brandon. We'll catch you next time on the Hockey Minute.
We'd like to take a second to thank you, the listener, for joining us. And a big thanks goes to our writers and production team, Jules, Mark, and Matt. We couldn't do this without you. That's going to do it for us. This is Brandon and Ryan. We'll talk to you next time on the Hockey Minute.
Sorry, I think you're cutting out a little bit. Can you try repeating that one more time?